In this video, we will be learning how to divide decimals. If you remember, to divide means to separate things into groups. I'm going to show you a pattern to understand why we divide decimals the way we do. If we wanted to divide 100 into 5 equal groups, we would get 5 groups of 20. If we want to divide 10 into 5 groups, we would get 5 equal groups of 2. So what if we have 0.10 divided by 0.05? We would have 5 groups of 0.02. With these 3 cases, we have shown that when we look at dividing these into groups, all cases had the same result of 2, but in different decimal places. Whether that be 100 divided by 5, 20, 10, or 5. In all cases, we had 2 in the example. Just to recap, we have our division looking like this. We have our dividend that's found right here, our divisor right here, and our quotient right here. Now we're going to tackle a question. To illustrate dividing decimals, first I'm going to divide 2 into 10. And I know that it's 5. But what if I had 1 going into 0.2? I would write it out the same way as I would before. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first ask myself, is 0.2 a whole number? And no, it's not. So I'm going to make it a whole number by shifting the decimal over as many times as necessary to make it a whole number. In this case, I move it over once. But what I do to this side, I have to make sure that I also do it to this side. So I'm just going to do 0.00, move it over once, which gives me 2 as my dividend by 10. Now this question I can handle. What I have done is make my divisor a whole number by using my knowledge of equivalent numbers. To keep myself organized, I did rewrite it. It's always a good idea to do that. My 0.2 became 2, and my 1 became 10. Now, we can handle this. So 2 going into 10 is just 5. This is okay. Now let's put our mathematical brains to work and try a more difficult question. We're going to do 66.04 divided by 12.7. So what I'm going to first do is write it out as if I would a normal long division question. 12.7 to 66.04. Now, I told you what the first step was last time. Do you remember? The first step is to ask ourselves, is this a whole number? And no, it's not. So to make it a whole number, I have to shift the decimal place over as many times necessary to make it a whole number. In this case, it's also once. Now what I do to this side, I have to also make sure to do it to this side as well. Now I'm going to rewrite my question. So now I have 127 going into 660.4. Okay, so now this is something that I can probably tackle. But what I'm going to do to keep myself organized is I'm going to move up my decimal point right here. Now I'm just going to leave it and I'm going to forget about my decimal and go on as if I was to do a normal question. So ask myself, can 127 go into 6? No. Can 127 go into 66? No. But can 127 go into 660? It can. Now let's figure out how many times. I'm thinking that it's going to be 5 times, so I'm just going to do some rough work on this side just to be sure. 7 times 5 is 35. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 6, 635. That seems about right. Now I'm going to minus out just like I would do regularly. That comes a 5 because I need to borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 minus 6 is 0. We know that we did it right because 127 is bigger than 25. Now I'm going to carry down my 4. I'm going to ask myself, how many times is 127 going to 254? I'm going to guess 2 times. Let's try it out on the side again. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And 2 times 1 is 2. Oh hey, it works out perfectly. So 127 times 2 is 254. And minus that out, and I get 0 for my remainder. So I know that I did do this question right. So my answer is 5.2. Now let's take out my calculator and see to make sure. So if I have 66.04 divided by 12.7, and I got 5.2. Now let's try 660.4 divided by 127. I also get 5.2. So based on my work that I did here, and also the calculator's way, I have shown that as long as I'm dividing by a whole number, it works out. If you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to leave a comment or let me know.